If I lost everything today and had to start again from zero, this is exactly what I'd do. 6 little things I'd do, I'd probably put them into 5 little boxes. But I get a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of comments about what do you think of this? I'm starting at this age. What would I do? What should I do? Sort of thing. So there's a lot of vibes here about where to start, and I get it. And the thing is with the UK people, I'm going to say this now, UK people only. We will look in the bargain bucket aisle around supermarkets for the yellow stickers. But we're more than happy to throw 5 to 10 grand in the stock market based off what you hear on the bus, for example, or the pub, or a back of a fag packet. So let's talk about some rules, some situations you've got to be wary of, and why it's important. But just a bit of if you're new around here, I've been investing for like 11, 12 years now. I'm used to the rodeo. But in that time horizon, things have majorly changed into platforms, brokers, the world of AI now, information available. It gets quite noisy, so let's make it simple. Now, before you get going, sort your finances out first. And there's a reason why I say that, but it takes time to do this bit. So whilst you're doing this bit, educate yourself. And I'll go on to that in more detail in a second, and certainly where I could come into this, hopefully. Now, for example, Monzo's on the screen. I recommend Monzo because I use Monzo. You don't have to use Monzo, but I think they have really good saving pots. They have really good roundup services. If you're crap with money, it's usually quite a good place to be, if that makes sense, because it makes money work and you can start setting things up. Have an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months pretty much is usually what's covered. And then, as I say, cancel those subscriptions, get rid of the bins. You get the idea, right? So when you do that, educate yourself. Now, I do have a free course. You jump in, it's simple. I am building another course in the background, but I want to give you a bit of a warning here. When I say educate yourself, that does not mean go to a seminar in Manchester or London and pretend that you're a Billy Big Bollock spending 3 grand on a course. No, keep it simple. Very, very simple. The more you know, the better it is. There's so much free resources out there. There's AI tools out there. There's amazing stuff out there. Yes, you're probably better off trusting someone and learning from someone. So a bit of background about me, former CPD accredited educator in the world of crypto, which is mental, I know, and I will come on to that in more detail in a second later on. But ultimately, you need to understand that what you do is probably different to someone else. Even though I'm going to tell you in this video what I would do, you may not want to follow me exactly. I hope you don't follow me exactly, but you get the point. Step 2, simulate. Oh my God. How many people don't do this? I wish I did this more when I was younger, but you'll see why I mean. Simulate as much as you possibly can. Now, I do have some free tools at the minute. Currently, the ETF screener is free. It is still in testing mode, but it will be locked eventually. But what my point is, understand what you're investing in first and what it means. So, yes, you can use, say, investment calculators. I get it. You can look at portfolio simulators. You can look at paper portfolios. Understand what the metrics are over the course of time. Understand the overlap. Understand everything about the portfolio before you go, I'm going to throw my money in. Because even on mine here, now I've often talked about this. People always talk, and I recommend the All World Fund as a beginner, right? If you are in the All World Fund, that's a good place to start. But I will talk about in a minute what I would do in terms of the obvious. But when people then go into here and they go the S&P 500, for example, you start noticing that there's a bit of an overlap and a bit of an issue with weight of certain stocks. And if you start buying into that and go, and then you're, bugger, you realize 6-10 months down the line, whatever, that there's a lot of issues with it. Understand your portfolio first. But you can go even deeper. You can go even deeper and you can look at, say, this, for example, Snowball Analytics. It's a 30% off currently for their spring sale. There's a free trial. If you like it, you can get 30% off, which is a mega deal. Link below, highly recommended. I use it all the time. But the reason why I say this bit is because you can then see dividends, you can see growth, you can see more metrics on any fund. You can see the information, like in terms of how its performance has been, the growth, the streaks, individual stocks as well is all covered on here. But you can input, you don't have to do this with your actual broker yet. You could enter any holdings you want and you can simulate what you would do and why you would do it. So even if you were like, say, Apple, for example, randomly, you can just go, right, whatever Apple could be, You can save that, add it to your portfolio. You can have a little look see at it, see what the performance is. Is it going to fit your mold? What's going to happen with it? You can also see everything in terms of the dividends, the payouts, everything you want to see, which would make sense because even for likes of myself, I'm a dividend investor, but I don't want to have a portfolio where I'm only going to get one or two portfolio payouts every single year. I would want the full month kind of, multiple months, at least 10 months payout so I can get that cash flow. Not everyone's in the same boat, but if you are then able to simulate, say, right, what is £300 a month for 20 years? How much would that be? What is the average growth of that portfolio? What is the dividend growth for that? What could be my thing with this portfolio if I do it? And again, I have a calculator here of like compound investing. So, say for example, if in a real life situation, oh, bugly hell, don't go that crazy. Say if you've put in £5,000 to start initially, and you say, I don't know, £300 per month. Yeah, cool. You want to do this for 20 years. What could this be? Well, actually, the total investment would be 77,000. Random kind of, even if you're going to go in the lower end of 5% average returns with a 2% yield reinvested, yeah, cool. It sets you up a little bit in terms of understanding the basics without going, oh, I'm going to get rich overnight. Simulation is pretty key and I think overlooked. But you're probably wondering, what the hell would I do? Well, I would keep it super simple, certainly as a beginner. I would only focus on ETFs currently to start off with because I think the market's a little bit ropey at the minute. That's fine. But have a core holding where it will cover a lot. Basically, the All World Fund could be a good example here. There's other ones out there, but if that's 80 to 90% of your portfolio, that will make it big and pretty useful. Now, I know different risk factors are important here. S&P 500, for example, if you want a bit more risk, the All World Fund is a bit more generic and more obvious, but other people will have different elements to it. Now, again, as I say, if you want to go for, say, an obvious, accumulation fund here of the S&P 500, it's a very, very decent fund, but not everyone likes it. But as I say, it could be a very, very easy one for people to jump into. So this is one. And again, it is heavy tech. If you like technology, fine. So you'd have that, for example, as your core. And then what you'd look at then is having maybe a 10 or a 20% tilt, whether that is dividend ETFs, for example, or small cap funds or emerging markets where they're not going to be realistically in the S&P 500. So you've got very, very low overlap. So then you've got that side of it where the core will build the wealth and the tilt will express a little bit more volatility, but it may well be more your core belief. You may want to say it. For example, with me, I like ETF ones where they cover dividends. You may want something along the lines of the emerging markets. You may want technology or other commodities. You might want to, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but you get the idea. Or even property. Some people like property ETFs, which for me, I'm not really that bothered. They're a bit different. They work differently, but some people may want this sort of thing. It's entirely up to you, but keep it absolutely simple and crystal clear. The problem that I see all the time is people have too many of the same things. They have 5 or 6 ETFs or 5 or 6 stocks that are all the same. That doesn't really work in the same way, because if you do have the All World Fund, for example, like you can go FTSE All World here and get the 6, right? That's fine. They're all similar-ish, but then people will go down the exact same route with the All World here, and then they'll probably buy the S&P 500, and they'll probably buy an emerging market. They're all covered in the same breadth, pretty much. So just keep it simple. Now, step number 4 for me would be to invest in something other than ETFs and stocks. You probably know where I'm going to go here. I don't want to say gold or silver, but along those lines, a little bit different, a commodity. But the commodity I'm going to say that I would do, and you don't have to, and I definitely don't recommend it, but it's up to you. Bitcoin. Let me explain. I'm a Bitcoin investor. You should know this, realistically. It is big versus, say, the S&P and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot of upside. Digital scarcity, blockchain technology. I would highly recommend doing research before you going into the comment section, because Boris Johnson just came out and said it's a Ponzi scheme. Knob. But you get the idea, right? Not everyone likes this, but I've been invested for a while, 2016. My allocation is quite large, but for you guys, go low. 5 to 10% at least, long-term hold, and expect the volatility. It's crazy. So it may well be a mistake ignoring it, because yes, the prices are coming down. You could argue the prices are quite okay at the minute if you are looking to buy. It could go lower, a lot lower, by the way, just saying. But for me, as I say, the volatility is pretty crazy and you could get some really big returns here, realistically. The digital scarcity and the computation power of the blockchain with the mining power and having effect of its scarcity getting more and more scarce, and many institutions now are buying Bitcoin. It's something that you should probably just have as like a long-term hold, treating it like digital gold if you want to make that really simple analogy. And look at what's happened with gold. Obviously, gold's got hundreds of years behind it. Bitcoin has about 13 or 14 years, realistically, so it's quite new. But people may well be looking at that side of it in the next decade or two. So it's just something to ponder, something to think about. And if you are an investor for the first time and you are looking to be kind of more broad, having gold, silver, or Bitcoin as an example alongside your ETFs and your stocks is probably quite a good thing. It's like property or artwork or cash, weirdly. You got to have some sort of diversification where you're not just like all in on the S&P 500, for example, if you get my point. Now, going back a little bit to the simulations, step number 5 is the one real thing that we always talk about as a secret sauce. It is keep investing. Going back to this, there's stuff on here that will kind of give you that thought process because it will tell you how much you've contributed over the course of time. Time is key, investment period. If you are investing for longer periods, so say 30 years, this number is going to go higher because you're going to get the compound effect of the dividend growth and yield on cost, as well as the fact of returns on every single year. Don't just stop because it's a bear market. Don't just stop because the price is coming down or you're chasing trends. People stop investing when it gets hard, where that's the polar opposite. You should be doing the opposite. You should be buying when it's crap and hopefully slowing down / taking profit when it's really, really good. Time, consistency, compound. I need to get that tattooed on my ass, I think. I mean, it's constant. Like it's all it's what I say. Because even £500 a month for 25 years potentially is a lot of money. But £500 a month for some people is a lot of money, but for others it's not. I mean, everyone says to me, "Oh my god, like you got to be really rich to invest." You don't. Finding £113,000 to throwing out one lump is different. Mindset is different, but splitting it up over £500 or £250 over 40 or 50 years is different, isn't it? Versus, say, lumping that much in. But for me, I think the best investors aren't the smartest. I don't think Warren Buffett, for example, is the smartest person in the room. He's just the most consistent. He had a model and he just stuck with it and he continued doing it. For example, Charlie Munger is another one. There's loads of them. There's absolutely loads of these investors out there. They had one thing and one thing in common. They learnt about it. They simulated what they wanted to do. They had a plan and they kept on investing over and over and over again. And they diversified their risk and they managed their portfolios pretty efficiently. There we go. Getting words out. So yeah, keep it really simple. But yeah, your money can grow. It can grow pretty rapidly. But people want to get rich quick, and that's not how you do it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, please do watch this video, follow along, and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you again very, very soon, hopefully, if I've not put you off. Oops.